Hi, so my name is Elizabeth Thacker, and today I have completed the kinetic sand experiment for my Chemistry 2 course. The first thing that I had to do for this experiment was gather my supplies. First, I got 1 cup of sand, then I got a half a tablespoon of cornstarch, a teaspoon of dish soap, and I just added water as needed. For my sand, I chose to use just regular sand that you would find on a beach instead of craft sand because it was easier to find, and that is what you see in the picture. And then this is just a little jar of cornstarch, and again, I used about half a tablespoon of cornstarch for this experiment. This is the dish soap that I chose to use, and it's just your regular dish soap that you could find at any grocery store. So after I gathered my materials, I used about a teaspoon of the dish soap in my sand mixture, and I actually ended up needing just a little bit more, so it was just like a drop or two more that I used. Next, I added the cornstarch to my kinetic sand, and I used about half a tablespoon of that cornstarch. And you can see the tablespoon in the first photo, and then in this photo, you can see the cornstarch has been added to my mixture. Then I just added a little bit of water. I didn't need very much at all, and I mixed it all together, and this is what it looked like after it had been all mixed with everything included. So that's really all you have to do to make kinetic sand. It's a pretty simple procedure. You just add the cornstarch, the water, the dish soap, and the sand, craft sand or regular beach sand. Mine turned out a little bit stickier than I would have liked, but overall it was pretty successful. And I have this next video to show you kind of the final product and just what it looks like when it's in motion and what it looks like when it's still. So as you can see from my videos, kinetic sand is pretty easy to make. You really only need dish soap, cornstarch, sand, and water, and maybe 10 minutes on your hands. Kinetic sand is really a fun demonstration of how polymers work in this way to create kind of a material that will stick to itself and nothing else, and acts a little bit as a liquid and at the same time a little as a solid. So what is kinetic sand and why does it work the way it does? Kinetic sand is sand that sticks to itself, so you can form clumps, mold it with your hands. It also makes for a really easy cleanup because it sticks to itself. Kinetic sand is regular sand that's been coated with silicone oil. Silicone doesn't refer to one specific material, but instead refers to a group of materials that contain the elements silicone and oxygen. Silicones are polymers, meaning they're molecules made up of long chains of repeated units. The compounds are used in all kinds of materials, everything from shampoo to lotion, cosmetics, conditioner, even sealants contain polymers. Silicone oils have this really unique property about them, which allow them to act as liquids that can flow freely or as semisolids that flow slowly in the absence of pressure, but are like rubbery solids under stress or pressure. So that's kind of how you saw if when I was dripping the sand through my hands, it just kind of falls like a liquid would fall right out of your hand. But then if you're holding it, if you're squeezing it, it stays together because it's acting as a semi-solid. So similarly with kinetic sand, the polymer chains within the silicone oil make the sand particles stick together so you can form them in a ball or whatever shape you want. However, if you were to leave that ball or whatever you've made on a counter and just let it sit, it will slowly flatten out over time because it is only a semi-solid. And it is really important to note that another really cool thing about this is, unlike slime that you can make or other things, because of the silicone oil coated sand, the sand particles will only stick to each other. They won't stick to anything else or any other surfaces. So that's my explanation of kinetic sand and a little bit about how it works, and I hope you really enjoyed this video. Thanks.